Minutes after placing my 8-year-old son Leo and 6-year-old daughter Zuri in a waiting car, I walked back toward the home my husband had just ordered us to leave. $30 million was now in my name. The deed to a Manhattan office tower rested inside my handbag. But Marcus knew none of that. He stood on our front porch beside his brother's wife, Sarah, with divorce papers scattered at their feet and her white Range Rover crushing the flowers I had planted with our children. "Sign," Marcus said. "Then take the kids and get out of my house." Sarah smiled as if she had already measured my bedroom for new curtains. There's no room for a leech here anymore. For 7 years, that word had made me smaller. That afternoon, it made me smile. Marcus's expression tightened. "What's funny?" I looked past him at the front door, then toward the black Maybach turning onto our street. Inside were the lawyer who knew what Marcus had stolen and the documents he believed no one would ever find. "You made one mistake," I said. "You tried to throw me out before learning what I own." Sarah stopped smiling. Marcus glanced toward the approaching car, and for the first time since I had married him, I watched uncertainty enter his face. Neither of them knew that 3 things had happened that morning. They were about to learn all 3 on that porch. 3 weeks earlier, Marcus had interrogated me over strawberries. It was 7:15 on a Tuesday morning in Atlanta. I was turning eggs in a skillet while Zuri sang to herself at the kitchen table, and Leo searched upstairs for the sneaker he lost at least twice a week. Marcus sat at the head of the dining table in a navy suit, staring at his tablet. "Serafina," he said, "explain this." He turned the screen toward me. A grocery charge for $142.18 had been circled in red. "Food?" I said. "The salmon you requested? Fruit for the children's lunches? Milk? Vegetables? And detergent?" $142 for fruit and fish. For 4 people. He leaned back with the patient smile he used whenever he wanted to make cruelty look reasonable. "This is why I manage the money. You see a card and assume the account replenishes itself. My consulting invoices paid for Leo's tutor and Zuri's gymnastics this month. I understand money." He lifted 2 fingers around the word consulting. "You answer emails between loads of laundry. I manage portfolios worth hundreds of millions. Let's not pretend those are equal contributions." Before Zuri was born, I had worked 60-hour weeks at a crisis communications agency. Marcus had encouraged me to leave, promising that freelance work from home would give our family stability. Over time, stability became a household card with a limit he controlled. Our savings moved into accounts for which only he had passwords. Every dollar I earned belonged to the family. Every dollar he earned proved he owned it. "They don't have to be equal to matter," I said. "In this family, I'm the primary shareholder. I make the financial decisions." Leo appeared with one shoe on and the other in his hand. Zuri ran to hug her father. Marcus changed instantly. He smiled, kissed her hair, and offered Leo a fist bump. "There are my champions, ready to make Daddy proud." They nodded. He could become a loving father the moment someone entered the room. As he collected his briefcase, he passed behind me and lowered his voice. "Be more responsible today. I'll review the account tonight." Then he kissed my cheek for the children and left. Leo watched me stare at the closed door. "Are you sad, Mom?" "The eggs are smoking." They were not. I had spent years renaming what Marcus did. Control became budgeting. Humiliation became stress. Silence became peace. I stayed because I had grown up in a home where divorce was used as a threat, and I wanted my children to wake under the same roof each morning. 4 days later, at our family barbecue, that excuse finally collapsed. I spent the morning preparing brisket, arranging flowers, answering messages from a hospital client, and checking rented tables. By late afternoon, our backyard was full of Marcus's relatives and colleagues. Music drifted from the speakers. Smoke from the grill softened the September air. Marcus moved among the guests, accepting compliments for a party he had done nothing to create. His older brother David arrived with Sarah. David was kind in the passive way of men who feared conflict more than injustice. Sarah owned a boutique real estate brokerage called Sry Properties and treated every room like an audition. She introduced handbags by brand, vacations by cost, and friends by net worth. Her favorite way to feel important was to compare herself with me. She crossed the patio without greeting me and wrapped both arms around Marcus. The embrace lasted too long. His hands rested at her waist with the ease of habit. I noticed. So did something quiet inside me. David noticed nothing. "That promotion looks good on you," Sarah told Marcus. "Some men are built to carry an entire family." Marcus adjusted his cufflinks. Someone has to keep the standard high. I approached with a tray of shrimp. Sarah inspected my linen dress before taking one. "Look at you," she said, "playing hostess while Marcus handles the serious work. It's sweet that you keep busy." "I was handling a client crisis before you arrived, of course. Your little consulting projects." Several conversations around us softened. Sarah raised her champagne toward Marcus's coworkers. "Honestly, Serafina won the lottery. Imagine playing on a laptop and letting a man finance your life. Without Marcus, she couldn't afford the gate code to this neighborhood." Heat climbed my neck. I looked at my husband. One sentence would have been enough. "Do not speak to my wife that way." Marcus laughed. "Don't reveal all her secrets," he said. "As long as the house looks good and the kids stay out of my meetings, I don't mind sponsoring the lifestyle." A junior analyst gave an uncomfortable chuckle. David studied his shoes. Sarah lifted her glass as if she had won something. In that silence, I understood Marcus was not failing to defend me. He was participating. My patience had not preserved my family. It had merely provided them with a target who never fought back. I placed the tray on a table. "Enjoy the party," I told Marcus. "It will be the last one I host for a man who humiliates his wife to impress his mistress." The word escaped before I understood why I had chosen it. Sarah's eyes flashed. Marcus's smile disappeared. I walked inside and locked myself in his home office. For several seconds, I stood with both palms against the door, breathing through the pain. Then I saw his tablet on the desk. I had respected his privacy long after he stopped respecting my personhood. That afternoon, respect felt like another word for blindness. His password was the date of his first executive promotion. The screen opened on my first attempt. I was looking for the accounts he used to monitor me when a banking alert appeared. "Wire transfer completed. $50,000. Marcus had berated me over strawberries, then moved $50,000 while I prepared his party. The recipient was Sry Properties LLC, Sarah's company. I opened the transfer details. The money had come from a new home equity line against our house. I had never agreed to it. An attached form carried a digital version of my signature, but the S was wrong, and the date showed I had supposedly signed while presenting to a client in Charlotte. Marcus had forged my name and borrowed against the home where his children slept. The office door shook beneath his fist. "Serafina, open the door." I photographed the screen. "People are asking why you're sulking." I sent the photograph to an old private email account, deleted the sent notification, locked the tablet, and placed it where I had found it. The handle turned again. "Open this door now." I took a bottle of bourbon from the cabinet before unlocking it. Marcus stood inches away. Behind him, Sarah watched from the hall. "What were you doing?" he asked. I held up the bottle. "The bar is running low." His gaze shifted from me to the desk. Sarah looked at the tablet, then at my face. "You were in here a long time," she said. The cabinet stuck. Marcus stepped into the room and touched the tablet. It woke to the same market report he had left open. For one long second, suspicion remained in his face. Then his ego supplied the answer he preferred. I was too harmless to threaten him. "Try not to embarrass me again," he said. I smiled, carried the bourbon outside, and gave the best performance of my career for the next 4 hours. At 2 a.m, after the last guest left and Marcus's breathing settled into the heavy rhythm of whiskey and sleep, I took my laptop into the guest bathroom. People who believe they are untouchable rarely hide their tracks well. His secondary email used a password based on his fraternity year. I found the title company's messages within minutes. The $50,000 was an earnest money deposit for a penthouse at the Sovereign, a glass tower in Buckhead. The buyer listed on the preliminary contract was Sry Properties. The emails beneath it were not business correspondence. "I can't wait until we have our own place," Sarah had written. "I'm tired of hotel lobbies and going home to David." Marcus replied, "The money cleared. I just need Serafina to sign the postnup. Then I can remove the dead weight without losing anything." There were hotel receipts going back 2 years, jewelry invoices, photographs, messages mocking David and me. One exchange discussed asking for primary custody, not because Marcus wanted the children, but because threatening to take them might make me accept less. For a moment, the floor moved beneath me. I reached the toilet before I became sick. I knelt on the tile with one hand over my mouth and gave myself 60 seconds to fall apart. I watched the bathroom clock. At the end of the minute, I washed my face, returned to the screen, and started preserving evidence. My work had taught me that panic destroys information. I exported the emails with their metadata, downloaded the loan forms, hotel invoices, and bank confirmations to an encrypted drive, and wrote down how and when I found them. Then I sent copies to an account Marcus did not know existed. The bedroom door opened. I froze. Serafina. His footsteps crossed the carpet. I closed the laptop, slid it beneath a folded towel, and flushed the toilet. "Why are you awake?" he asked through the bathroom door. The shrimp didn't agree with me. He tried the handle. I had locked it. "Open up. Give me a minute." "You locked the bathroom door." I looked at the laptop beneath the towels and felt my heartbeat in my throat. "I didn't think you wanted to watch me be sick." Silence. Then his footsteps retreated. When I returned to bed, he rolled toward me and laid one arm across my waist. The familiarity of the gesture felt more obscene than anger. "Don't accuse me of things in public again," he murmured. "Then don't give me a reason." His eyes opened. I kept my breathing even. After several seconds, he smiled without warmth. "You wouldn't know what to do with a reason." He fell asleep, believing he had frightened me back into place. I stared into the dark and understood that my marriage had ended long before I discovered it. What remained was a fight over whether Marcus could destroy my children's security on his way out. He thought I was trapped. He did not know that the following Thursday, a man he called a penniless old recluse would die in Harlem and leave me the power to expose everything. The call came while I was making coffee. "Am I speaking with Serafina Cole?" a man asked. "Yes. My name is Harrison Sterling. I represented your uncle Elias. I am sorry to tell you that he passed away in his sleep last night." I gripped the kitchen island. Uncle Elias was the only relative who had never asked what my life looked like before deciding whether it was respectable. When I abandoned a college program my parents chose and transferred into communications, he sent me a fountain pen with a note, "A life written by someone else will never sound like your own." When I started freelancing, he mailed books on negotiation. He remembered both children's birthdays and preferred printed photographs because screens, he said, made memories feel temporary. Was he alone? His housekeeper found him. "The doctor believes it was heart failure. He did not suffer. There are estate matters that require you in New York. Can you travel tomorrow?" I said I could. Marcus entered as I lowered the phone. He stopped at the espresso machine and studied my face. "What's wrong now?" "Uncle Elias died. I need to go to New York tomorrow." He sighed. "A last-minute flight for a funeral, Serafina." The man lived in a crumbling brownstone and took the subway. "Whatever he left won't cover the airfare. I'm not going for money. Of course not. There isn't any. That's my point. I'm not spending $700 so you can sort through a hoarder's apartment. I'll use my consulting account." He set his cup down. "That money belongs to this household." I nearly asked why money I earned belonged to the household, while $50,000 borrowed against our home belonged to Sarah. I stopped myself. The pause made him narrow his eyes. "What were you about to say?" "That I'm going. It isn't a negotiation." His annoyance cooled into something harder. "Then arrange childcare. I won't cancel meetings because your family failed to plan, and don't expect me to collect you from the airport." He left without asking whether I was all right. On the flight north, grief and fury competed inside me. I remembered Elias's tweed jackets, peppermint tea, and battered leather chair beside a wall of books. Marcus judged him poor because he never displayed wealth. Sarah would have dismissed him for the same reason. At LaGuardia, Harrison's driver took me not to Harlem but to a glass tower on Park Avenue. A private elevator carried me 60 floors above the city. Harrison was a tall man in his 60s, with silver hair and a calmness that did not require performance. He met me in a conference room overlooking Central Park. "Before we discuss the estate," he said, "I want you to know your calls mattered to Elias. The albums mattered. He never felt forgotten by you. That kindness broke what Marcus's contempt had not. I cried while Harrison waited without rushing me. When I was ready, he placed a leather portfolio on the table. Your uncle lived modestly by choice, he said. He was not a poor man. The first page listed liquid assets totaling just over $30 million. I reread the figure until the commas lost meaning. This can't be right. It is. Elias spent decades buying distressed property and reinvesting the income. You are his sole personal beneficiary and controlling director of the trust that holds those properties. Professional managers handle daily operations. You make the important decisions. He turned 4 pages. Those 4 pages told me everything that mattered. Uncle Elias had left me $30 million. The trust controlled apartment and commercial properties in several states. Its largest asset was a Manhattan office tower where Marcus's employer rented 5 floors. And Sarah's brokerage occupied an Atlanta office owned by the same trust, an office 63 days behind on rent. Wait, I said. I own the building where my husband works. The trust owns it. You control the trust. Harrison handed me a letter written in my uncle's compact script. My dear Serafina, it began. If you are reading this, I have run out of birthdays. I leave this to you because you loved me when you expected nothing. Do not use it to become louder than cruel people. Use it to become free of them. Never mistake someone else's blindness for evidence that you are small. I pressed the paper to my chest. Harrison noticed the bruise-colored exhaustion beneath my makeup. Is there something urgent at home? For years I had protected the appearance of my marriage. That day, I opened my laptop and showed him the forged home loan, the affair, the penthouse deposit, and Marcus's plan to make me sign a postnuptial agreement. Harrison read without interrupting. When he finished, he closed the computer. Do not confront him yet. Do not sign anything without your own attorney. Your inheritance can remain separate, but only if we handle it correctly. More important, the signature and the money transfer need independent investigation. I don't want money to manufacture revenge, I said. I want the truth documented. I want my children protected. Then let evidence do the damage. He arranged for a Georgia family lawyer named Renee Whitaker and a forensic accountant to review the records. I gave only 3 instructions: follow the law, treat every tenant by the same contract, and tell Marcus nothing about me until I was ready. Before I left, Harrison placed certified estate documents inside my handbag and returned Uncle Elias's fountain pen to me. Elias had kept it all those years. I closed my fingers around the worn black barrel. For the first time in 7 years, I did not feel rescued. I felt awake. I flew back to Atlanta the next afternoon. Marcus did not collect me. A taxi dropped me at our house, where he was waiting in the formal living room with whiskey and a stack of papers. He did not ask about the funeral. He did not ask how Uncle Elias died. He did not ask whether I had inherited anything. Sit down, he said. We need to protect my assets. He placed a post-nuptial agreement on the coffee table. Aldridge is restructuring. Senior executives are vulnerable when corporate litigation happens. This separates our assets and debts on paper. It protects you and the children if anyone comes after me. The lie was smooth enough to show rehearsal. You're separating our finances. Nothing changes at home. I still fund the household. It simply says, property in my name is mine, property in your name is yours, and neither spouse is responsible for the other's private debt. I want a lawyer to review it. He stared at me. What lawyer can you afford? One of my clients uses a legal service. If the agreement protects me, you should welcome an independent review. His jaw tightened. Refusing would reveal too much, and he still believed no ordinary lawyer I could reach would threaten him. You have until tomorrow night. He carried his glass upstairs. I waited until the guest room door closed before photographing every page and sending it to Renee. She called at 6 the next morning. Marcus buried a trap in this, she said. But he also buried one for himself. In plain language, the postnup required each of us to disclose every debt and swear that we had diverted no marital money. Marcus had hidden the forged home equity line and the penthouse deposit. Renee protected my inheritance, clarified that secret debt belonged to the spouse who created it, and sent the revisions to his attorney. Marcus approved them without reading because he believed I had nothing worth protecting. The next morning, a mobile notary sat at our dining table. Marcus flipped directly to the final page. "Did you read the revisions?" I asked. "My attorney did." "Stop dramatizing a standard document. And you've disclosed every debt." He looked up. The question hung between us. "What debt would I hide from you?" "That's what the document asks." His eyes remained on mine as he signed. I signed after him with Uncle Elias's fountain pen. Marcus glanced at it. New. Old. "I got it back in New York." "The dead uncle left you a pen," he laughed. "At least the trip wasn't a total waste." He capped his own pen with a satisfied click and rose. "There. You worried for nothing. Let people who understand finance handle finance." After his car cleared the gate, I called Renee. He signed. "Then his lie is no longer private." That was all the legal explanation I needed. The rest became a series of questions. Who had copied my signature? Where had the $50,000 come from before the home loan cleared? What else had Marcus moved through accounts he controlled? And how much did Sarah know? While professionals looked for answers, I stayed close enough to my husband to watch his confidence grow. For 9 days, I made breakfast, took client calls, signed school forms, and listened to Marcus describe his importance. He believed the postnup had removed the last obstacle between him and Sarah. They became careless. On Thursday, a florist delivered 24 white roses. "For me?" Zuri asked, bouncing beside the box. The card said, "Soon we won't have to hide." It was signed, M. Marcus entered the foyer while I was reading it. His steps stopped. "Who sent those?" I handed him the card. For half a second, panic opened his face. Then he frowned as if offended on my behalf. "Some client is crossing a line. A client who signs your initial. Meters could be anyone. That hospital director is named Michael. He is 68, married to a man named Robert, and sends invoices, not flowers." Marcus snatched the card. "I'll dispose of it. You shouldn't encourage this kind of thing." I didn't. "Then why are you smiling?" I had not realized I was. "Because whoever sent them made a mistake." He carried the flowers toward the garage. His phone began ringing before he reached the door. He looked at the screen and rejected the call. It rang again. "Aren't you going to answer, Sarah?" I asked. He turned so quickly that water splashed from the vase. "How do you know it's Sarah? Her name is on the screen." He looked down. It was. "She has a client at Aldridge." "Of course she does." For the rest of the evening, Marcus watched me. I felt his attention follow me through the kitchen and up the stairs. At 10, while I brushed my teeth, he appeared in the bathroom doorway. "Give me your phone." I met his gaze in the mirror. "Why?" "Because I pay the bill. My consulting account pays this phone. Everything you earn is marital money. Hand it over." The secure phone Harrison had given me was locked inside my car. My ordinary phone contained nothing, but Marcus could not know that. No. It was a small word. In our marriage, it sounded explosive. He entered the bathroom. "What are you hiding? You demanded my phone without explanation." I said no. A wife with nothing to hide doesn't need privacy. "Does that rule apply to husbands?" His face hardened. This attitude started after New York. "Did that useless uncle put something in his will?" "You said there was nothing to leave. Answer me." "He left me a pen. You saw it." The truth was technically present, which made the lie easier to hold. He reached for the phone beside the sink. I took it first. "Don't," I said. He stopped. For 1 second, we stood close enough for me to smell the mint on his breath. Marcus was not used to resistance. It confused him more than anger would have. Then Leo called from the hallway. "Mom, I had the nightmare again." Marcus stepped back and rearranged his expression before our son appeared. I went to Leo. Marcus remained in the bathroom, watching. The nightmare was about a house sliding into a lake. Leo stood in the upstairs hall with his blanket around his shoulders, trying to be brave because he believed 8 was too old to cry. I took him to his room and sat beside him. "Can houses really disappear?" he asked. "Not like that. Dad said the bank can take ours if people waste money." I held very still. "When did he say that?" "When I wanted the science camp. He said you spend too much and we all have to make sacrifices." Marcus had used the fear of homelessness to deny a child a $300 camp while borrowing against that same home for a penthouse. "Listen to me," I said. "Grown-up money problems are never your fault. And no matter which building we live in, you, Zuri, and I will have a home, I promise. What about Dad? The question hurt because I did not yet know the answer. Your father is responsible for his choices. My responsibility is to keep you safe. I stayed until he slept. When I returned to our bedroom, Marcus was going through the drawer where I kept client notebooks. Lose something. He closed the drawer. A cufflink. In my notebooks. You moved things after the barbecue. I leaned against the door. Did you tell Leo the bank could take our house because I waste money? Marcus did not look embarrassed. Children need to understand consequences. He is 8. And already better with numbers than you. I thought of the forged loan and felt something inside me become cold and precise. One day, I said, he will understand exactly what happened to this house. Marcus's hand stopped on the drawer handle. Is that a threat? It's a promise not to lie to him forever. I took a pillow and went to the guest room before he could answer. The next morning, Sarah waited beside my car at school drop-off. She wore cream trousers, dark glasses, and the self-satisfied expression of someone who had mistaken access for victory. Parents moved around us, carrying backpacks and coffee. She knew I would not make a scene there. The roses were supposed to come to my office, she said. My assistant used the wrong address. Then you should hire a better assistant. Marcus told me you made it awkward. Your affair made it awkward. The florist merely improved the lighting. Her smile thinned. Be careful with accusations. You don't have the resources for a defamation suit. Is that why you came, to protect your reputation? I came because women like you become unpredictable when they realize a man has outgrown them. She removed her glasses. There was no shame in her eyes, only impatience. Marcus needs an equal, she continued. He needs someone who understands rooms you will never enter. You should accept a sensible settlement before he decides to ask for custody. Does David know you visit my husband at night? The name struck exactly where I intended. Her mouth tightened. David stopped being my husband in every meaningful way years ago. He wore the watch Marcus gave him last Christmas every day. He still calls your mother on Sundays. I think the meaning might surprise him. She stepped closer. If you tell him before we're ready, Marcus will make sure you leave with nothing. For the first time, she realized she had admitted it aloud. I kept my expression blank, though the recorder inside my coat pocket caught every word. Sarah recovered quickly. No one will believe you. They know what you are. And what is that? Dependent? Emotional. Grateful when you're smart. You forgot Leech. Her smile returned. That too. She walked away without noticing the red light beneath the edge of my pocket. I sat behind the steering wheel after she left and listened to the recording once. My hands shook, not from fear, but from the shock of hearing cruelty spoken without camouflage. Sarah had not stolen Marcus from me. She had joined him in a story where my silence proved their superiority. My secure phone rang. We found the bridge, Renee said. Between the loan and the penthouse. Between the penthouse and Marcus's employer. He moved money from a restricted account to keep the deposit alive, then replaced it when the forged loan cleared. His company will have to investigate. Can he blame me? He can say anything. The records say otherwise. Send them through the proper channel. Don't involve Uncle Elias's building or the lease, already separated. Serafina, once this begins, you cannot control how far it goes. I watched Leo's classroom window. Paper planets hung behind the glass. I spent 7 years controlling myself so Marcus would never face consequences, I said. I'm done doing that. At home that afternoon, I found Marcus in the kitchen. He was never home before 6. At 2:30, he stood beside the island with my laptop open. Your password changed, he said. My stomach tightened. Why are you trying to enter my computer? The household account is missing invoices. My client invoices aren't on that laptop. Then unlocking it should be easy. The encrypted evidence drive was in Renee's office. The laptop contained only client work, but a secure browser icon might invite questions. You have no right to search confidential client files. I have every right. This computer was purchased during our marriage. So was your phone. Hand it over. His eyes sharpened. I had broken the old pattern again. Normally, he made the demand and I defended myself. This time, I let his own rule face him. He closed the laptop slowly. I don't know what game you think you're playing. Neither do I. You created the rules. The funeral changed you. No. It reminded me who I was before you. He stared at me, and I saw calculation replace anger. Then he smiled. We should go out tonight. Just us. It's been too long. The sudden softness frightened me more than the shouting. I have work. Cancel it. I'll make a reservation at Beaumont. I can't. You can. He stepped close and tucked a strand of hair behind my ear as though the last 7 years had not happened. Whatever you're upset about, we can fix it, he said. You know I take care of you. I thought of Sarah beside my car that morning. I thought of the forged signature, the roses, and Leo's nightmare. Do you? Always. He kissed my forehead. The gesture was identical to the one he used after signing the postnup. At Beaumont that night, Marcus performed the husband he had been when we met. He ordered the wine I liked before motherhood made every preference seem expensive. He asked about my clients. He remembered a joke from our second date. For 20 minutes, I could see the man who had once brought coffee to my agency during an overnight crisis and told me my mind was the first thing he loved. Then his phone lit beneath the table. Sarah, I handled her. She suspects nothing. He turned it face down. What did Uncle Elias leave you? He asked. There it was. Memories. Some books. The pen. No property. You said his brownstone was deteriorating. That isn't an answer. I placed my fork down. Why do you care? The postnup says inheritance is separate. Because spouses don't hide money from each other. The hypocrisy was so complete that I almost laughed. Did you hide money from me, Marcus? His wineglass stopped halfway to his mouth. No. Then we agree. Spouses shouldn't do that. He drank and studied me over the rim. The warmth vanished from dinner. By dessert, he was checking his phone every minute. A man from Aldridge called twice. Marcus rejected both calls and told me the office could survive one evening without him. I knew the investigation had begun. He did not. On the drive home, rain shone across the windshield. Marcus kept one hand on the wheel and the other around his phone. Sarah says you threatened her at school, he said. Sarah approached me. She was trying to help. By telling me you'd take my children if I didn't accept a settlement. The car drifted toward the lane marker before he corrected it. She said that. His question was too quick. Would I what? Use Leo and Zuri to pressure me? He tightened his grip on the steering wheel. A court would consider which parent can provide stability. You mean money. I mean reality. You have irregular income, no office, and no idea what our life costs. If you ever forced me to choose, I would protect my children. From their mother. From instability. We stopped at a red light. I turned toward him. Then you should hope no one discovers who borrowed against their home. The light changed. Marcus did not move until the car behind us sounded its horn. What did you say? I looked back at the rain. I said people who threaten stability should be careful. He drove the rest of the way in silence. That night, I pushed a chair beneath the guest room doorknob and slept with the secure phone under my pillow. At 3:11 in the morning, the handle moved. Once. Twice. Then Marcus whispered my name through the door. I did not answer. After a minute, he walked away. The following day, he changed the password to our security system. I knew because the app logged me out while I was collecting Zuri from gymnastics. When I called, he said it was a software update. Send me the new code. I'll do it when I get home. Send it now. Why are you being difficult? Because my children live behind that gate. He hung up. Mrs. Reynolds let us enter through her side garden. 30 minutes later, Marcus finally sent a 6-digit code followed by a message, "See how easy life is when you cooperate?" I forwarded both to Renee. She called immediately. I want you and the children somewhere safe. If I leave now, he'll know. Then we plan the exit before he creates one for you. We chose Monday. I would keep the children's routine unchanged through the weekend. Renee would be ready if Marcus tried to lock me out or move the house. Harrison's team would continue its ordinary response to Sarah's unpaid rent. Aldridge would make its own decision about Marcus. I asked for no forecast. Knowing every consequence in advance would not make me safer. It would only tempt me to mistake plans for facts. That evening, an invitation arrived for David's 38th birthday dinner on Friday. Sarah had added a handwritten note beneath the printed details. Wear something simple. We wouldn't want you confused with the successful women. I placed the card beside Uncle Elias's letter. Friday would give them a stage. I intended to let them use it. The family gathered in a private room at an expensive Buckhead steakhouse. Velvet curtains framed the windows, and a chandelier cast warm light over a table long enough for 20. I wore a simple navy dress. Marcus ordered wine without looking at the price. Sarah arrived in silver silk and spent the first course discussing the waiting list for her diamond bracelet. David seemed happy simply to have his family in one room. I watched him laugh with Marcus and felt the weight of what he did not know. I had prepared an evidence package for him, but it would not arrive until Monday. He deserved the truth. He did not deserve to receive it as entertainment at his own birthday dinner. Marcus tapped his fork against a glass and stood. David, you've always been steady, he announced. When one member of a family reaches a certain level, he should bring the others with him. He slid a green box across the table. Inside was a Rolex Daytona worth more than $30,000. David stared. This is too much. I had an exceptional quarter. Wear it. Marcus spoke loudly enough for the waiters to hear. Status satisfied him only when it had witnesses. David fastened the watch and hugged his brother. Across the table, Sarah and Marcus exchanged a glance so intimate that I wondered how no one else saw it. Sarah waited until the congratulations faded. I have news too, she said. I closed on the most extraordinary penthouse at the Sovereign. Private elevator, marble kitchen, and a full view of the skyline. Her use of I was deliberate. Marcus concealed his smile behind his wine glass. It proves what a woman can accomplish when she builds her own empire, Sarah continued. A successful man needs an equal, not someone who does laundry, answers a few emails, and expects an allowance. Carrying dead weight must be exhausting. The table went silent. David whispered her name, but she ignored him. Marcus looked amused. I lifted my water and took a slow drink. Days earlier, her words might have pierced the part of me that still wondered whether I deserved respect. Now they sounded like noise from a room I had already left. You're right about one thing, I said. A real partner should understand risk. Sarah smiled. And what would you know about risk? Enough to know that the Sovereign verifies where its deposits come from. Money connected to undisclosed debt, a forged signature, or a regulated account can make a closing very difficult. Her fingers tightened around the stem of her glass. Marcus stopped smiling. I continued before either could recover. Commercial property is risky too. An expensive office can create the appearance of success even when the tenant hasn't paid rent in 2 months. A drop of red wine fell from Sarah's glass onto the white cloth. What are you talking about? David asked. Nothing, Marcus said too quickly. He pushed back his chair and seized my arm. Serafina has had too much to drink. I had consumed only water. He pulled me into the corridor and released me beside a marble fountain. His face was flushed. What did you do? He demanded. You will need to be more specific. How do you know about the Sovereign? Did you break into my accounts? Sarah announced her purchase to the table. Don't play games. And what was that about her office? Ask whether she paid the rent. His eyes searched mine. Who have you been talking to? Your mistress, mostly. She likes to visit me at school. Sarah is not my mistress. Then her husband will enjoy that explanation. He stepped closer. You will not speak to David. Why? Because you are confused, jealous, and trying to punish everyone because your uncle died. You have no proof of anything. What if I do? Fear passed through his face before anger covered it. Then remember who pays your bills. Remember who owns the house. Remember which parent a judge will believe can care for 2 children. You mean remember my place. For once in your life, yes. He raised one hand and pointed inches from my face. Go inside, apologize to Sarah, and keep your mouth closed. No. The fountain murmured between us. What did you say? I will not apologize to your mistress for describing the money she helped you steal. He laughed, but no humor reached it. You have no money, no office, and no idea how the world works. You think a few screenshots make you dangerous. I think your belief that I'm powerless made you careless. The restaurant door opened. David stepped into the corridor. Is everything all right? Marcus lowered his hand and smiled. Serafina is emotional about her uncle. I'm taking her home. David looked from my face to Marcus's. She doesn't look emotional. For one heartbeat, I thought he might finally ask the right question. Sarah appeared behind him. The cake is coming. Don't let her ruin your birthday, too. David turned back toward his wife. The moment closed. I collected my handbag, wished him a quiet happy birthday, and left alone. Marcus followed 20 minutes later. At home, he slammed the front door hard enough to shake the framed photographs. We're done, he said. You have 3 days to leave. With the children. Take them. I can't have them interfering with work right now. My lawyer will deal with custody later. The ease with which he discarded them hurt more than anything he had said about me. He opened the banking app on his phone. A notification appeared on my household card disabled. Your allowance is cancelled, he said. The postnup says you have no claim to my accounts or this house. By Monday evening, I want your keys on the counter. You are ordering your children out with 3 days' notice. I'm removing an unstable influence. If you cooperate, I may pay for a motel for a week. He watched me, waiting for terror. All right, I said. His mouth tightened. All right. If you want me gone Monday, I'll be ready Monday. Calm frightened him. He seized my handbag from the entry table. What is in here? My certified estate papers were in a safe at Renee's office, but Uncle Elias's letter lay inside the zippered pocket. Give it back. He emptied the bag onto the console. Lipstick, keys, a wallet, tissues, and the fountain pen struck the wood. The secure phone remained in the lining where a tailor had created a hidden compartment. Marcus unfolded Elias's letter. I reached for it. He held it above my head and read aloud. Do not use it to become louder than cruel people. Use it to become free of them. He looked at me. Free with what? A brownstone full of books? It was private. Not in my house. He tore the letter once down the middle. Something ancient and helpless inside me wanted to beg him to stop. Instead, I watched him tear it again. There, he said, dropping the pieces among my things. Now pack. Don't take anything I bought. I'll inventory every room. He went upstairs and locked himself in the guest bedroom. I knelt beside the console and gathered the 4 pieces of my uncle's letter. My hands did not shake until I reached the final line. Never mistake someone else's blindness for evidence that you are small. I called Renee from the garage. He ordered us out Monday. He canceled the card, searched my bag, and tore Elias's letter. He cannot evict a titled spouse. We are filing for protection against any transfer of the house. Are you and the children safe tonight? I thought of the bathroom doorway, the changed security code, and the hand Marcus had raised at the restaurant. For tonight. Not after he realizes what I know. Then leave by choice before the confrontation. Do not tell him where you are staying. Keep the children's routine stable and let me handle the filings. I booked a quiet 2-bedroom hotel suite near their school. Safety, not spectacle. Mrs. Reynolds agreed to help with pickup. I packed clothing, medications, school books, favorite toys, and the photograph of Leo and Zuri with Uncle Elias. Then I taped his letter back together and placed it beside the photograph. Saturday morning, Marcus left before breakfast. Sarah's Range Rover appeared on the security camera 20 minutes later. I took the children to the Science Museum. Leo stood beneath the suspended skeleton of a blue whale and told Zuri that some bones survive for hundreds of years because museums know how to protect fragile things. I turned away before they could see my face. Can we go to camp next summer? He asked. Yes. Dad said it costs too much. Your father and I will make different decisions from now on. Are you fighting? Zuri stopped touching the display. Both children watched me. I crouched between them. Daddy and I are going to live in different places. None of this is because of you. You don't need to choose a side, fix us, or keep secrets. Are we still a family? Zuri asked. Yes. It will have a different shape, but you and Leo will always have me. Leo studied the floor. Will we lose our house? No one is going to make you homeless, I promise. When we returned that evening, Sarah's perfume lingered in my bedroom. A furniture catalog lay open on the kitchen island, with circles around a cream sofa and a bed she intended to place where mine stood. She wanted me to see it. The children were upstairs when Sarah stepped from the pantry. I stopped. I thought you left. She wore one of Marcus's white shirts over her dress. He went to get champagne. I stayed to help organize. In my clothes. Her gaze fell to the suitcase near the stairs. Good. You're packing. Move away from the stairs. Or what you'll call the police and explain that your sister-in-law visited a family home. I'll ask why you are wearing my husband's shirt in front of his children. Her expression flickered. They think I'm helping with the party supplies, she said. There is no party. There will be after Monday. She walked closer and lowered her voice. Marcus told me you inherited nothing. That little performance at dinner was pathetic. Whatever screenshots you stole won't change the postnup. By next week, this will be my home. You should check whether the sovereign still wants your money. Her confidence cracked for half a second. What did you do? I smiled. You will need to be more specific. The words Marcus used at dinner tasted better in my mouth. The garage door began to rise. Sarah stepped back. You think you're clever. But when Marcus is finished, even David will believe you caused this. Monday should be educational for everyone. She stared at me. What's happening Monday? I carried the suitcase upstairs without answering. Marcus questioned me after midnight. What did you say to Sarah? She was in my kitchen wearing your shirt. What did you expect us to discuss? She spilled wine on her dress. Naturally. You threatened her business. I told her to check her closing. He blocked the bedroom door. How do you know anything about her closing? Because the two of you leave documents in my house. My house. Until Monday, apparently. His eyes narrowed. What happens Monday? You said I had to leave. That's not what you meant. I let silence answer. He searched my face, then softened his voice. Serafina, if someone is advising you, they don't understand what they're risking. I can still make this easy. Sign the divorce petition without a fight. I'll give you $20,000 and 6 months of rent. For 7 years of marriage and 2 children. For walking away from a life you didn't build. I looked around the bedroom I had painted while pregnant, at the curtains I had chosen, and at the family photographs I had arranged. Put the offer in writing. He mistook the answer for surrender. Relief loosened his shoulders. I knew you would be sensible. He kissed my cheek and left to call Sarah. Sunday passed like the quiet center of a storm. I took the children to Mrs. Reynolds while I moved our final bags. Marcus spent the afternoon printing documents and speaking loudly with his attorney. Once, I heard him say, "She has no resources. Pressure is the point." At 5, a courier collected David's evidence package. I included records of the affair and money connected to Sarah, but nothing designed merely to humiliate him. Truth did not require cruelty. At 7, Marcus placed a typed settlement on the kitchen island. $20,000. No claim to the house, no spousal support. He would decide when I saw the children after he established a residence suitable for them. You said I could take them. My attorney says that could look bad, so now you want custody. I want leverage, he said, then realized he had spoken honestly. We stared at each other. Thank you, I said. For what? For finally using the right word. I photographed the settlement and his handwritten note, then left it unsigned. On Monday morning, 3 things happened. Marcus knew about none of them. I intended to keep it that way. At 2:30, I collected Leo and Zuri from school. A trusted driver waited around the corner from our street to take them to the hotel. Why aren't we going home? Leo asked. Because Daddy and I have to talk with some lawyers. Are you scared? Children see more than adults admit. I kissed his forehead. I'm careful. That isn't the same thing. Zuri wrapped both arms around my neck. Come back before dinner. I will. I watched their car turn the corner. Then I walked alone toward the house. Sarah's white Range Rover stood across the edge of my flower bed. Marcus waited on the porch in his navy suit. Sarah leaned against the column beside him, holding divorce papers. They had arranged themselves like people in an advertisement for victory. Sarah threw the papers before I reached the steps. Sign them, she said. Collect whatever clothes Marcus allows you to keep. There's no room for a leech here anymore. Marcus crossed his arms. My lawyer has already filed. You signed the postnup, so don't waste time fighting. Take the children to your friend's apartment and be out tonight. The petition requested sole use of the house and described me as financially irresponsible. It said nothing about his affair, the forged loan, or the fact that he had ordered his children out. I smiled. What's funny, Marcus snapped. The confidence. You both have so much of it for people who haven't checked their phones. Sarah laughed. You're homeless and making jokes. This is embarrassing. No, Sarah. What's embarrassing is announcing ownership of a house a judge has ordered Marcus not to transfer. The low sound of an engine turned all three of us toward the street. A black Maybach stopped behind Sarah's Range Rover. Harrison stepped out with Renee and a forensic accountant named Daniel Price. They carried document cases. Nothing about them was hurried. Harrison approached me first. Good afternoon, Miss Cole. Everything is in order. Marcus recognized the names Sterling, Vale, and Pierce on his folder. In Marcus's world, certain names functioned as proof before anyone explained them. Who are these people? He asked. My lawyers, I said. The kind I can afford. Renee handed him the court order. Mr. Cole, you have been served. You may not sell, transfer, borrow against, or deny your wife access to the marital residence while the court reviews the disputed loan. He barely glanced at it. The postnup gives me the house. The deed gives both spouses an interest, Renee said. And the postnup contains your signed statement that you disclosed every debt. You concealed a home equity line bearing a forged signature. Sarah took one step toward the door. This has nothing to do with me. Your company received the money, I said. Your company also appeared on the transfer papers Marcus tried to file this morning. Marcus's head turned toward me. How do you know about that? Because the title company rejected it. His face changed. You can't stop me from refinancing my own house. No, I said, but a judge can. And the company now holding every dollar of debt against this property is controlled by the Elias Cole Trust. Sarah made a small, disbelieving sound. Your dead uncle lived in Harlem. He did. He also left me $30 million and the trust that owns a Manhattan office tower. Marcus stared at Harrison as though expecting him to deny it. Harrison did not. Which tower? Marcus asked. The one where Aldridge Financial rents 5 floors, I said. His phone began vibrating. He looked at the screen. His chief executive's name appeared, followed by missed calls from compliance, human resources, and corporate security. Answer it, Daniel said. They have been trying to reach you since this morning. Marcus rejected the call. This is a landlord dispute. My employment has nothing to do with her inheritance. Correct, Daniel said. Your employment ended because you moved restricted client funds to keep the sovereign deposit alive. Aldridge terminated you for cause at noon. Marcus went still. Sarah looked at him. What does he mean, moved client funds? Nothing. He's bluffing. The phone vibrated again. This time Marcus answered. This is Cole. He listened. The color left his face in slow stages. I can explain the reconciliation. I replaced the balance. No client lost money. Another pause. You cannot terminate me without an interview. He listened again, then lowered the phone. The man who had measured his worth through job titles suddenly had none. You did this, he said to me. I gave investigators records. You moved the money. Sarah backed down the steps. I need to call my office. Yes, I said. That's the second call you should make. She frowned and dialed. After several seconds, someone answered. This is Sarah Cole. Why is my access card failing? Her voice rose. You cannot change my locks. I have client files in there. She listened, then turned toward Harrison. You evicted me because she hates me. The rent was unpaid before I knew who you were, I said. You ignored 3 notices and told the manager ordinary deadlines did not apply to you. Today, the lease said otherwise. My business will be destroyed. Your files are secure. What investigators find in them will determine the rest. Sarah ended the call and rounded on Marcus. You promised the closing money was clean. Stop talking. You said the postnup made us safe. I said stop. Another car braked at the curb. David emerged holding the courier envelope. Sarah whispered, Oh, God. He crossed the lawn without looking at anyone except his wife and brother. The envelope had been opened and closed so many times, its corners were soft. The Rolex still circled his wrist. He stopped at the bottom of the steps. Tell me it isn't true, he said. Sarah descended one stair. David, Serafina is manipulating everyone. She inherited money and now she's using it to destroy us. Us. The single word stopped her. David held up a photograph of Sarah and Marcus entering a Savannah hotel on a weekend. Both had described as separate business trips. Did she fabricate 2 years of hotel records? Did she make you call my brother babe? Did she invent the message where you said I was too stupid to notice? Sarah's face hardened. I was unhappy. You were never ambitious enough for me. Marcus understood what I needed. David flinched. Marcus stepped forward. This got out of control. It wasn't supposed to happen this way. What way was it supposed to happen? David asked. You take my wife, gamble your children's home, and give me a watch so I thank you while you laugh at me. He removed the Rolex and placed it on the porch rail. I don't want anything else from you. We're brothers. We were. The quiet reply carried more finality than shouting. David looked at me. I should have defended you at the barbecue and tonight. I knew the way they spoke to you was wrong. I stayed silent because speaking would have made my life uncomfortable. I'm sorry. Your silence hurt, I said. But what they did to you is not your fault. He nodded. My attorney will contact yours. I won't hide evidence to protect either of them. Sarah reached for him. You can't freeze me out. Half of everything you have is mine. David stepped away. Then a court will decide what the law gives you. Unlike you, I don't need to forge anything. He returned to his car. Sarah watched him leave, then turned on Marcus. Fix this. My office is locked, David will freeze the accounts, and the sovereign will cancel the closing. Where am I supposed to go? The question exposed what remained of their romance. They had loved the future they believed the other could finance. With the money gone, neither seemed interested in the person left behind. Marcus looked at me. His anger changed shape. Serafina, we should discuss this privately. We have children. We can correct the loan and withdraw the divorce. Sarah and I made mistakes, but a criminal investigation will hurt Leo and Zuri. Think about what this will do to them. There it was. The children used as leverage and renamed concern. I thought about them when you forged my name against their home, I said. I thought about them when you used client money for a penthouse. I thought about them when you offered me $20,000 and admitted custody was leverage. You remembered you were their father only when consequences arrived. I was angry. I didn't mean it. You put it in writing. His eyes fell to the divorce papers at our feet. What do you want? He asked. Months earlier, I might have answered respect. A week earlier, I might have answered revenge. Standing there, I wanted something simpler. An honest divorce. Safety for the children. Every diverted dollar accounted for. And no more confusing control with love. If I agree, will you tell Aldridge it was a misunderstanding? No. Will you say the signature was yours? No. His face closed. Then you want to destroy me. I am refusing to save you by lying. Those are not the same thing. Renee asked whether I wanted to enter the house. Through the open doorway, I could see Sarah's furniture catalog on the kitchen island and the torn settlement beside it. Not today, I said. My children are waiting for me. I walked down the driveway while Sarah and Marcus began accusing each other behind me. Neither apologized. Neither accepted responsibility. They simply searched for the nearest person to blame. I did not turn around. At the hotel, Leo and Zuri had built a tent from blankets between the beds. I changed out of my dress, crawled inside, and sat between them. Did Daddy make us leave? Leo asked. I chose the truth that belonged to a child. Daddy made choices that were not safe for our family. Other adults are helping us decide what happens next. He loves you, but love does not make every choice acceptable. Is he going to jail? I don't know. Zuri climbed into my lap. Will we still go to school? Same school, same teachers, same gymnastics, same tutor. Tomorrow I will pack your lunches, and Leo can complain about the strawberries exactly like normal. That earned the first smile of the evening. The consequences arrived over the next 6 months, but I did not build my life around watching them. Marcus admitted the forged loan and misuse of client funds after the digital records, messages, and notary evidence made denial impossible. He received a prison sentence, restitution, and a permanent ban from regulated financial work. Sarah lost her broker's license, the penthouse deposit, and her marriage. David divorced her and stopped protecting either of them from the truth. The children and I stayed in Atlanta until the divorce was final. Therapy helped Leo understand that our home had never depended on whether he attended science camp. Zuri stopped asking if every packed bag meant another move. Marcus wrote to them under a therapist's supervision. Whether he changed would be measured over years, not in one apology. I sold the house instead of keeping it as a monument. On my final morning there, I stood at the kitchen island where Marcus had once highlighted a grocery receipt. The room looked smaller without him at the head of the table. Houses remember nothing. People decide what the walls mean. The following summer, the children and I moved to New York. I chose an apartment near a park and a school they liked. Leo wanted enough wall space for maps. Zuri wanted a window seat. I wanted a door no one could use as a threat. Running Uncle Elias's trust was difficult. Money had not made me an expert, so I asked questions, studied after the children slept, and kept experienced managers around me. On the wall beside my desk, I framed his letter with the 4 tears still visible through the glass. One rainy afternoon, Zuri placed a drawing beneath it. The picture showed the 3 of us in front of a building with too many windows. Leo had added roots beneath the sidewalk, spreading wider than the tower above them. Uncle Elias said roots grow without applause, Leo explained. I looked at my children, then at the repaired letter. $30 million had not created my worth. The tower had not created my intelligence. They gave me options, and options revealed what fear had spent years concealing. For 7 years, Marcus believed he had buried me beneath receipts, passwords, insults, and fear. What he never understood was that buried and planted can look exactly the same from above. The difference is what rises.